Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
And we are exactly 4 weeks away.
It's weird.
From Rogue One.
Time flies by.
Right?
Flies by.
I mean, we were just like stoked for episode 7. I felt like yesterday.
Oh, well, yeah. I was talking to Cody today, and I caught myself because we were talking about like when tickets are going on sale, I think. And I was thinking, just like last year when Force Awakens, and I was like, wait, was it last? Yeah, it was last year. Force Awakens was not even a year ago.
Not even a year ago.
We're getting a new one, new movie. This is wild.
But we had already bought tickets, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
They went on sale a little earlier.
Yeah.
Tickets expected to go off
at the end of the month.
By the end of the month.
That's the rumor. That's what everybody's kind of saying. The European theaters are saying it. So
okay. They did again, like they did with episode 7. Though they did move up the release in Europe.
I saw that
to the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll probably see it Wednesday night. Why is that?
Future. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. But yeah, so 28 days from today, we will be, I'm pretty sure by now we would have watched it if there's like a little earlier version, like 7, 8 o'clock like it was last year.
Yeah.
So, obviously it's kind of, this year went so fast, these next 4 weeks are going to go even faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
holidays.
No way. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. So, all right. So we'll get into a bunch of, we got, a lot of just announcements and a couple of reviews to do. So let's get into it. What we got here?
Well, actually I kind of forgot because of Catalyst, but the 3D Blu-ray came out this past Tuesday. I haven't gotten it. I'm actually going to see if I can find a way to just get the audio commentary. As much as I love to support the Star Wars cause with my money, I don't want to spend that much more money to get a 3D Blu-ray, which I'll never watch.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I don't own a 3D Blu-ray player or a 3D TV. So,
but have we confirmed that the actual Blu-ray's on there, the 2D's on there too, or no?
I'm pretty sure.
Just the 3D.
I think it's both.
Is it both?
I could have sworn I saw that. I will try to double check that.
I'll double check too.
But I'm going to try my hardest to find a way to buy just the commentary. But anyways, I haven't read any reviews on people listening to the commentary. Well, there's one thing that talks about just like the biggest reveals of the commentary, that kind of thing. I haven't read it because I just want to listen to it. I don't want to be spoiled of the commentary. Big about spoilers, so I'm waiting for that just to see how I can find a way to get that. But that's episode 7 news. Actually, it's some episode 8 news a little bit. Though, okay, it's also getting to the point. With some spoilers. I don't want to spoil myself. There's an article out there talking about. I saw it on Star Wars Newsnet, but it's an article talking about just possible character descriptions and ideas, rumors, whatever, about Benicio del Toro's character, Laura Dern's character in episode 8. I haven't gone through it. It probably won't be that bad, so I might actually read it eventually. Just haven't gotten around to it. But we're getting to the point because next year we're getting episode 8. Still very quick. These are pumping out really fast. So next year we'll get episode 8, and they're already starting to get some rumors about characters and whatnot of these new people coming into episode 8. But also, with episode 8, I read that it will be shot on 65mm film, which for those of you who don't know, that is basically IMAX.
Basically.
The whole movie is going to be shot what is somewhat considered IMAX format. That's pretty incredible.
Wait, episode 8?
Yeah.
Thought they were...
No, or 9. 9. Sorry. 9.
Yeah, 9.
Episode 9 news. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes. Because 8's already shot.
Yeah, right here, episode 9.
Yeah, crazy.
That's
Now that's still Ryan Johnson, right?
Ryan Johnson.
He's still directing 9. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a huge, literally, physically huge movie.
Yeah.
And a little bit of news of Han Solo movie. Alden Ehrenreich talked a little bit about, actually, there probably will be a young Chewbacca in the Han Solo movie, which we kind of, I guess, assumed that we might see that. We'll see the meet cute between Han Solo and Chewbacca. So, okay, one comment that he said, this interview with Alden.
Yeah, but that's like Yoda in episode 1 saying younger.
Yeah.
It's like he's 100 years, 200 years old, right?
Very true. Here's a quote, though, from Alden Ehrenreich that I thought was interesting. I don't know, again, I could be reading too much into this, as I usually do, probably, with a lot of these things, but it's fun. Quote from Alden saying about Chewbacca. Chewbacca, he's as much younger as I am in the film, he joked. So I think he's like 190 or something years old. I don't think there is a huge growth spurt for him from 190 to 210. So he's probably about the same height. So he's kind of being cheeky with that. But he says
20 years? He's
20.
talking 20 years?
Which does not make sense.
It does not make sense.
So I'm pretty sure he's just throwing numbers out there. But it just got me thinking, trying to figure out when this movie's going to take place.
Wait, but when is he saying he's
20 years older?
10?
210.
Or 210, yeah.
210, it's 20 years. I mean, that's...
Is he saying episode 4 or is he saying episode 6? Or is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
It has to be episode 4.
I mean, we probably should not waste breath analyzing this because I'm sure he's probably just spitting out random numbers. But, it's something to think about maybe.
I was about to say, because I thought Chewbacca was like 200 years old.
Yeah, he's around 200 probably around episode 7, right?
Oh, episode 7?
Do you think he's 200?
Well, then you're
230 by then? 240?
Well, he'd have to be then.
So you think he's 200 around the original trilogy?
Yes, I think he was 200 around the original trilogy.
So that doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, they can't be going back because that would make him what, like 7?
Yeah, exactly. So it probably doesn't make any sense.
Probably 10. It's probably 10 years.
Yeah,
it's got to be 10 years. Make him like 17, 18 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. One would think so. Just wanted to.
Now, so you think we're going to see him save his life?
I think we'll see that. I don't see why we wouldn't. They would hold that back.
But that would take place around the same time he gets the Falcon, or are you talking about some time jumping?
See, I don't know. I feel like this Lando Falcon bit. I don't think Lando's going to be like a reoccurring. I think it's going to be one scene. Well, he'll get the Falcon. It might be the very beginning.
Yeah,
he's just. That's our first introduction to Han
Solo.
Solo.
They could do the Chewbacca thing as a flashback.
They could, yeah,
saving his life or something like that.
I mean, it could be all about saving Chewbacca, or like him struggling and trying to rescue the Wookiees, but not able to. I don't know. Could be about the conflict of the Kashyyyk being enslaved. I don't know.
See, I wonder how much of this. Well, obviously it's a lot, but I wonder how much they'll pull any from the books, the novels,
the Imperial Academy and stuff like that. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that is. I don't know.
There's nothing canon right now,
right? But his pants. I feel like that is like really well known. His pants with the little squares. It signifies Imperial pants. I thought that was always the case. That's why he wore those pants, because he was from the Academy. But again, yeah, they could totally get rid of that.
Yeah, the original stories was he got basically what do you mean, dishonorable discharge basically for helping Chewbacca. I mean, it was basically on the run because he killed Imperials that were beating Chewbacca. Obviously, Chewbacca then owed him a life debt, and that's why they went on. And then he basically been on the run ever since.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much. Yeah, I wonder how much they'll show that.
And just kind of thinking right now too, if we do see that, I wonder, knowing what we know about Wookiees being enslaved by the Trandoshans, it'd be cool if we saw some Trandoshans.
Yes,
it'd be really cool if we saw Bossk. But
yes,
that's asking a lot.
Yeah, and there's no, I guess, again, there's no canon timeline that says that he got
right
the Falcon before he saved Chewbacca, or
No, yeah.
he saved Chewbacca
You're
before
right.
the Falcon? You know, I mean,
The only timeline we have with anything regarding that is what we saw of Lando and Rebels. Lando and
That's
Rebels
right.
does not have the Falcon.
That is-
And we're kind of
that is
assuming
correct.
that he has lost it by that point.
Yes.
He doesn't have it. I'm not saying that he doesn't own it, but he's
No,
not
you're
using
right.
it. So,
You're right.
But we're I think it's a safe conclusion to think that he doesn't own it at that point, because it's basically Billy D. Williams is the voice. So it's like it's the Lando that we know from the movies, pretty much at that point in Rebels, which is about 4 years, 3-4 years before A New Hope.
yes, and I can't remember when his book happens because
Oh,
he
the
doesn't
comic?
have it then either.
Oh, the comic. That's right.
I think,
Lobot's with him at that point.
yeah,
That I feel like that has to happen a little bit later.
that
than
is a
Rebels.
little bit later. Yeah, I think
would
it
say.
is. Might be a little bit later.
But this,
Yeah.
you know, Donald Glover. I mean, we keep saying this over and over again, but like it's just a horror. I'm very impatient about this.
I'm
figuring out the timeline with this.
yeah.
movie.
Plus, when we obviously get the first footage, it's going to be very.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about picking something apart. That is going to be scrutinized to
yes.
the nth degree.
I mean, I don't. It's going to be hard. I feel like for this movie to be, I don't know, like I'm sure it'll be good because the Kasdans are behind it. Lawrence Kasdan. I'm hoping that'll be good, but it does have a lot riding on it. Where I'm thinking like it's got so much riding on it, especially with essentially recasting Han Solo, that it's almost impossible for it to be incredibly successful because you're gonna have so many people probably, no matter what, hating Alden Ehrenreich's performance because it's not
Right.
Harrison Ford. I don't know. Maybe you might have those people that just, or like if it's not Harrison Ford, I don't like it, and so you're gonna have that at the start. I'm not like that. I have hope. I can get behind it if they do it a certain way, but even I have limits to what I can approve for this. But but I'm sure it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be a good movie. Wait and see.
Wait and see.
Celebration. Hopefully we'll get stuff in Celebration.
Okay, so TV show wise, I guess Rebels was off actually this past week.
Yeah.
We thought both. I actually Saturday night sat down like
Me too.
ready to watch.
was actually
It's not
home.
there.
Yeah. Actually home at a decent hour that Saturday night to finally watch Rebels, but
Totally threw me off. Yeah. I must have. I made the mistake of I didn't watch Recon after Imperial Super Commandos.
I guess I missed it too. I don't know.
So but I did see the clip with Thrawn they released last week.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they do that before.
Yeah.
It's like,
their episode.
okay, but anyway, so that episode, which is called, I was trying to look it up here, but
I can't
remember.
I forgot it. I'm sorry.
the Menace
people.
of Thrawn? No, that's the clip.
I'll find it.
That's the clip that's coming out. The last battle? No.
It
Okay, so
will be Iron Squadron.
Iron Squadron?
Saturday, November 19th.
Oh, okay, cool.
Iron Squadron.
Iron Squadron. There you go. Saturday night, 8:30, Disney XD. Check that out. That would be episode. I think it'd be episode 8 of this season. So, it's beginning again. Haven't really seen much of Thrawn. Only saw one of Darth Maul.
Yeah, and it's gonna come. I think we're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway to the season, it's gonna be like the mid-season finale, whatever. We'll get like oh gosh, Thrawn is like a serious like threat, and then the
Yes.
second half of the season will be Thrawn. Probably, but this you have to see if we'll ever see Darth Maul again for this. I don't know. I would think we would, but
I would think so too. Yeah. Okay, so moving on.
I mean, before we get to the books, comic book news wise,
Yes,
Darth Maul has got a comic book. coming
Darth
out.
Maul is coming. The series will be dropping, I think, February of 2017.
Cover looks awesome.
And it's a 5-issue miniseries, so very similar to what we got out of him in the very first canon series, Son of Dathomir. But this one is, I don't think they've named it, but this is actually this actually takes place before the Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like during the Clone or during the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Not the Dark Ages. The
Dark Times.
The Dark Times.
Yeah. In the Dark Times.
Yeah. You know, between 3 and 4, you know, where has he been since, you know, Clone Wars, the Rebels? This is actually before, which I'm assuming is still under Palpatine, though, still under Sidious, his training and stuff.
Yeah, here's the excerpt from USA Today. It says, the comic finds Maul, an untested warrior, under the training of Darth Sidious, who would later become the Galactic Emperor, told to stand down from engaging with Jedi yet. Maul hunts down the worst of the worst in the cosmic underworld to vent his frustration. He's very angry. After learning a young Jedi Padawan named Eldra Kaitis has fallen into the hands of a crime lord, Maul seizes an opportunity to test his skills against a real Jedi, but also maybe turn someone else to the dark side. Yes. So, one thing we briefly talked about, because it used to be canon, but not necessarily now. During this time of Palpatine training Maul, Plagueis, whatever you say, is around. So, will we see Darth Plagueis the Wise in this comic? That would be awesome. We'll get the actual canon version of Darth Plagueis and what he looks like.
I mean, I think you have to, because, but see again, you know, I think it was in the Plagueis book, right? That how it talked about he was training Darth Maul while he was, you know, because isn't it canon that during episode 1, parts of episode 1, like Plagueis is still around? Because where was it or maybe it was in the Plagueis book. Because I think in the Plagueis book it actually says when he kills him, which is right after he is elected Chancellor.
Yeah, after the battle in the Boom.
Yes,
like literally the same day.
Yeah,
right?
so he basically, he's dispatching. I mean, he's dispatching Maul, even though Plagueis is still around.
Yeah.
So
I mean, here's what the canon entry on Wikipedia says. It only says that he died prior to the Battle of Kashyyyk, which is in episode 3. So there is no definitive
that's
time.
Canon.
Well, yeah, canon.
Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, it's when Palpatine. It's basically just saying when Palpatine tells the story to Anakin that he's dead. It's just saying before that moment. It's not known. It's just saying before the Battle of Kashyyyk. So it's open to.
So right now, it is open.
That he could still be alive at this point, or could be dead at this point already. It doesn't say. So the Darth Plagueis book, which is I guess Lucino.
It was Lucino. Yeah,
that
book. Yeah, that book apparently it was really neat if it stays that way. But how? Yeah, the whole rule of 2 with them was the whole plan was to get, because Plagueis was part of his family's part of the banking clan, I think, and they got all this money, and then Palpatine comes along and they have this political agenda where they're like let's infiltrate the politics side, not just the dark force side, the dark side. So the goal, was to get Palpatine up to be Chancellor. And as soon as that happened, it's like, okay, now I don't need you anymore. And it was actually the perfect time to do it, right? Because then he had Maul. So he figured, I'm going to have Maul and me, and we're just going to rule the galaxy. Yeah, and unfortunately, he didn't know Obi-Wan was going to kill him. Right. Well, he's cut him in half. Right. They can kill him.
And one reason why he was so successful at the banking clan, because he is a banking clan, because he's immune.
He is immune.
So if we'll get that version, if he's immune in this or not,
that's right.
I wonder if that. I mean, that will tick a lot of people off. If he's not immune.
Yeah,
I think
so.
Fine if he's not, but I know.
I think he'll stay immune.
Oh, that'd be fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of been etched as far as his the species and his characteristics similar to Thrawn. You
Yeah.
know, I think
Yeah.
like if they would have changed Thrawn, it would have been
Yeah,
crazy.
Oh, right. Yes.
So I think he's kind of like that, even though you know that he's only had that one book. But you know, I think, but that book really told a great story of him as far as you know his family history and you know recruiting Palpatine and all that stuff. And now Palpatine, you know, I don't know if it was in that book or it was in something else. Remember his whole backstory was that was how he basically murdered his entire family.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Nuts.
he's a crazy guy.
Horrible man.
Yeah. Anyway, so but totally looking forward to that series, seeing if that's in there. Of course, anything with Maul, he's become such a huge character, and in you know a lot of that. See, a lot of people don't give him credit, but George Lucas brought him back. You know, it was his decision to bring him back in the Clone Wars. So, and Filoni's obviously done a great job extending him into Rebels, and then now, of course, the comic series. So Maul's not going anywhere for a while. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he freaking shows up in episode 8 or something like that.
Would be nuts.
But you remember the longest time we talked about episode 7?
Yeah,
That'd be in episode 7?
He could have been the villain.
Yeah. Maybe Snoke.
Snoke. He just sawed off his horns.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets too old to fall off.
Retattooed himself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, hey. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Huh? Well,
Sorry.
no, I won't stop it. I'll just remember 21, 22 or something like that.
We should move on to the next piece of news.
So, well, the last thing I'll say is, so another comic just releases, I guess, real fast next week. Because I keep forgetting to do this. We got to do this more to keep doing this. But next week, you've got Star Wars Han Solo number 5 coming out, and Star Wars number 25, the regular Star Wars series. So those books are coming out next week, August 23rd. Yeah, 23rd.
Wait, what date? November?
I mean November. Did I say August?
Yeah.
Jeez. November 23rd, next week, next Wednesday.
Kill.
Okay, so moving on.
Been a lot of Rogue One stuff spots coming out. Have you been watching those? All of them?
I haven't actually watched the spots.
Yeah.
I've been staying away from those a little bit. I watched the international trailers that have come out, which have been incredible. And I watched there was a little featurette that came out.
Yeah. Came out today. Yeah.
Kind of similar to what was that Celebration.
Yeah, and the only reason why I watched it is because it was a featurette, and I figured that wouldn't be too much like big things in it. So I watched it.
Again, nothing about the Empire.
Right.
It's all about all the rebels. That's all it's about. And the whole movie cannot just be about the rebels.
It's interesting, but I am at the point now where I am going to be staying away from trailers and spots. If there's like new versions, like foreign trailers or spots, you know, I haven't really watched many of the new spots. But yeah, I mean, we're 4 weeks away, and we haven't. That's crazy. I'm just realizing all of this, and I got to stay away.
I know, and I mean, you feel like, again, you feel like you know the story.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't want to spoil too much as far as the characters and stuff like that. But
there's in this featurette, there's one shot though that made me kind of think a little bit about continuity, but it doesn't really hurt anything. But there's a shot in the featurette where they're on Scarif and they're shooting at the AT-ACTs at the ankles, I guess, the joints, and there's destroying the leg of the AT-ACT, and I guess it'll fall down, I'm sure, but it just made me think, did they not remember that in the Battle of Hoth? If they knew they can shoot the legs at the joints at Battle of Scarif, why didn't they do that at the Battle of Hoth?
Well, maybe that version doesn't have a shield on it or something.
I don't know. Maybe there's something different. Yeah, there might be something different, but it's one of those little things. It's just
I felt like the The speeders couldn't penetrate the
probably
armor. Is what they're
snow
saying.
speeders probably couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
because it's the Ewing that looks like it just shoots
blue.
it.
It's like a blue blaster. It looks
Yeah.
like. But Lost Stars, the book Lost Stars, when they do the Battle of Hoth, they also, I think that's one of the characters who's in that is an Imperial defector, and he's flying one of the snow speeders, one of the main characters, and he's talking to his co-pilot. And they're saying, like, I know these weapons, like, if you shoot at the legs, you can, like, disable them for a little bit or whatever, and they tell them all these, like, tricks about it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then far off, they see Wedge tripping it up with his little tow cable. I thought it was pretty neat. But just this moment here, I was just thinking, like, why did they not remember that? So we'll see. How they talk about it. That was cool. It was a cool featurette. Very, very neat. Very cool.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. Novels?
Novels.
So, of course, Casey and I are pounding our way through some audiobooks here. I just wrapped up A New Dawn. We mentioned last week that we were in the middle of them. I just wrapped up A New Dawn. Casey wrapped up Twilight Company, Star Wars Battlefront. So what did you think of your
Battlefront?
Battlefront
by Alexander Freed. It is a good book, especially if you are more the military type of genre guy. You would definitely love this book. It has, it most definitely is the Saving Private Ryan type, where it's all about this squadron, all about this company and their battles and their little skirmishes. There is somewhat of a main plot throughout the whole book with this Governor Chalice and the kind of twists with that. But I don't know, maybe it was the audiobook of it, because I'm a little distracted because I feel like I do too many things while I'm listening to audiobooks, like yard work or whatever. But I didn't like it as much as the other audiobooks I've been listening to. It is cool, but I guess I couldn't just get behind all the characters. Mainly the main character, I really couldn't get behind, like root for him. I mean, I guess he's supposed to be kind of like this anti-hero guy. His name is Hazram Namir. His kind of backstory is that he was this like not really mercenary, but he was on this kind of primitive planet. He's a human, I guess he's a human. On this primitive planet, working for this warlord and doing all this, whatever stuff. So he's like this hardened soldier for this warlord on this planet. Then the rebellion comes, kind of liberates the planet, and Namir just finds his way, being somewhat rescued by the rebellion. And so really his motivation is that he's just a soldier. He's just loyal to his own personal company, really. Just fighting the cause just because I think he feels he has to, as like a purpose kind of a thing. He really doesn't have any ties to the rebellion's cause. It's like, we got to destroy the Empire because they're evil and they're taking over the galaxy, and we got to save everybody. He's more just he cares for people, but he's mainly just got that soldier mentality of like, this is just what I have to do as a soldier. This is just my purpose. So he doesn't really align himself with the cause necessarily, and that just kept becoming a conflict, and that I just wasn't really feeling it because. Maybe it's because I'm so used to all these rebel characters of like Rogue One. It's like, oh, it's hope. It's, rebellions are built on hope. And the show Rebels, you have all these people like, oh, we got, it's such an uplifting, inspiring thing, as Star Wars always is. It was such a different story for me. It just took me completely out. Not completely out, but it took me out of it enough to I'm like, I wasn't really 100% into it. It's not a bad book. It just maybe wasn't the right genre of Star Wars for me. But if you like the war aspect of it, definitely read it. It's pretty mature in that content, and for Star Wars, that is. Mm-hmm. So I do recommend it, especially like the game Battlefront. And I think it has a lot of references to like Sullust. There's a lot of battles in Sullust. The weapons, they talk about the weapons. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very long. Very long.
Yeah, it's a thick book.
Yeah. Narration is awesome too. The guy who narrated was incredible.
So I'm actually on the same fence kind of with you with A New Dawn. I liked it. I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. And again, it didn't really. It didn't in the end, you know, for one, it was like you kind of too long. I felt like there was a lot of stuff in here that I didn't have to. There's just a lot of just narration that didn't to me didn't really sell the book more. But and I feel like I was a little disappointed in the end. Obviously, this is somewhat spoilers, but I was a little disappointed in the end because it didn't add anything to my knowledge of Star Wars Rebels, right? Like I was thinking, you know, there was going to, you know, basically this, to summarize the book, it's about when Kanan meets Hera, basically is what it is. And it's a little funny because in the beginning of this, in the very beginning of the book, you know, they're heading to Gorse, which is this big mining planet, and there's this moon called Cinda that's where they actually do the mining. So Kanan's in line, basically in traffic, flying to this moon, and a ship kind of like nearly cuts him off, and he really admires the ship. And you find out in the end, it's the ghost. So you don't know about the ghost. You just keep hearing occasionally about how Hera's trying to get back to her ship, you know, all this stuff. And then, in the end, she does, and Kanan's there with her, and they leave together. But you know, it just wasn't as compelling of a story to be like, oh wow, that's how they got together and met, you know. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, we haven't really actually seen them together, right?
Oh, I thought about this not too long ago, where it's not out there saying like they're a couple or they're like romantically involved necessarily.
But there's hints about it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's really the only thing I got out of this was Hera. Kanan's Kanan. Like I wasn't really too fond of how he was necessarily portrayed in this. He's really portrayed in this as a complete just loner, doesn't really care about anybody or anything. And he does show a little bit of that as you go through, because the guy they kind of gave him a job and ends up getting killed. So he's kind of like wanting to get revenge on that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, he still hides his Jedi using the Force. And this book, though, on the flip side, Hera, though, you really do get a sense of like her belief in a rebellion, even though there's not one going on yet. That's the thing too, is I'm not even sure when this takes place. Yeah, I'm assuming it's just shortly before Rebels, but like there's no mention of Sabine, there's no mention of, there's no Chopper, there's no Zeb
or
no Fulcrum, nothing. She is completely basically on her own, and she's slowly trying to like win these little skirmish battles in the shadows and then move on. Yeah. So it could be a couple years before, because there's no mention of Lothal at all. So I don't even know how they get to Lothal, right? So I don't know. So you know, you get a sense of what she is, because she even mentions how she feels attracted to Kanan, but I think what the book says is like, Kanan doesn't know that the war in her has already begun, and there's no time for relationships, right? Yeah. So there's that kind of that Ross and Rachel thing going on, right? You know, you know, it's like,
will they, won't they?
Yeah,
come on.
They're like, they both are attracted to each other, but they just don't do anything about it.
Because it's funny, like the moment where to me at least, where you really do see that typical like relationship status is in Rebels, where in Rebels at least we're first introduced to Cham Syndulla. You know, we know him from Clone Wars, but when he first shows up in Rebels, Kanan's all nervous. He's like, you know, it's her father. Like, I'm not, you know, he doesn't like me too much. True. That kind of thing. It's like a typical boyfriend meets dad, or like, you know, the dad hates the
right
romantic, you know, partner to his daughter, so kind of a thing. So, you know, that pretty much confirmed it in me. But yeah, no definite, I love you too.
No, none of that
moment.
but it does throw you off a little bit where, like you said, you were pointing out, the cover has Kanan's lightsaber, and
Yeah.
spoiler, doesn't ever use it. So he does have it with him, but eventually he actually gets it towards the end, but he doesn't use it. So anyway, pretty good. I'm glad I'm listening to it, but it's it didn't really enhance my, like, honestly, even before Rebels came on, if I had finished that before Rebels came on, I feel like I wouldn't have known that much more about Spark of Rebellion. I mean, it introduces the whole crew, and Ezra. So you're like, there's some time that goes on between. Because for some reason, I felt like this was going to lead right into Spark, but there's actually some gap, unless she has met Sabine and Zeb already, and they're somewhere else. But I don't know why they wouldn't be on the. Because she, well, actually, no, I take that back. Because she's basically saying that she's flying the Ghost by herself.
Okay.
And he's the one that mentions, what if you had a crew? And she's like, well, maybe that would probably work, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Maybe. Interesting. Yeah, the Twilight Company, there was just a lot of jumping around. Like, it's like so many little battles. They like from planet to planet to planet to planet, and they just keep going, these little battles here and there. So it got a little redundant. But Nia Numba is in it, which they say Nia Numba. That's how they pronounce his name in the book.
Oh, it's not Neum Nub?
No, they pronounce the B.
And it's Tantive?
Yes, and because I right now I'm listening to the audiobook of the Star Wars New Hope, the Princess Scoundrel Farm Boy.
Oh,
the alternate perspective.
Oh, that is on that book, right? Yeah,
it's on that book. But I've heard it. I heard it first in Ahsoka. She said Tantive.
See, I missed that.
And I just made me pause. Like, wait, what? So I thought Tantive V5, but I forgot it's actually the Tantive 4 is the ship. It's the blockade runner ship that Antilles, Bail Organa is on. And they said it. They said it in Lost Stars. I think he said, Lost Stars. I think it was even said there. But now in this Star Wars novelization that I'm reading, Princess Leia. And I listened carefully. She says Tantive V4.
Oh,
which all those people pronouncing it that way, they could have only gotten that from Story Group. Lucasfilm, I would assume. So I've never ever heard it pronounced that way. I don't think I've ever have it pronounced in general. I just always have read it.
That's right.
In books and online.
Because it's spelled Tantive.
Tantive. Yes.
It's not VEE.
Yeah, there's no like accent mark or anything like that on the E. It's Tantive.
Tantive.
Tantive V4. That's how I'm going to say it now.
Okay.
Don't mean to be pretentious, but that's how it's done. Tantive V4.
Now, and everybody in A New Dawn called her a Twi'lek.
Twi'lek. Okay.
Yeah, not a Twi'lek. but in Tarkin there was Twi'lek.
That goes both.
And they even mentioned. I think they even said something like
either
Twi'lek or Twi'lek. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Hidalgo or Filoni, I think, has said that where it's like AT-AT, Twi'lek, Twi'lek. It's all whatever you want to say, man. So if you want to say Tantive, say Tantive.
That's right.
Why not?
No one's gonna stop you.
Yeah, I'll say Tantive.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
So the other book, which we are both starting, which we highly recommend you do, because even on StarWars.com they released the 6 things. Was it the 6 reasons Catalyst is essential reading before you see Rogue One? So Star Wars Catalyst came out, which is a Rogue One novel by James Luceno. And I'll just briefly run through the 6 reasons. Number 1, the origins of the Death Star and its weapons program. Number 2, the foundation of the relationship between Urso and Krennic. That being Jin's father, Galen Urso. And then you have number 3, Jin's dad and mom, Lyra. And then you have number 4, Jyn Erso's birth and early years. So there's some time jump going on. Number 5, Grand Moff Tarkin, which in the timeline of the book, this actually takes place after the book Tarkin.
Oh,
right.
Well,
you saw that in
the timeline graphic in the book.
In the graphic of the book, even though it starts in the Clone Wars a little bit.
Yeah,
Tarkin takes place 5 years after Episode 3. So somehow this is somewhere. I remember I told you in Tarkin, at the end of that novel is when they moved the Death Star, because the Death Star is already being constructed. They moved from Geonosis at that point somewhere. So this is probably picking up when that
it's arriving to scare.
So maybe,
possibly.
And then last number 6 is how does Saul Guerrero know Jin?
Mm-hmm.
So Saul Guerrero is in the book at some point.
Cool. Very cool.
So anyway, I just started reading it or listening to it. Of course, I bought it too. I'm sitting looking at it, but I won't read it. I'll listen to it. So it's 11, a little over 11 hours on the audio side. So I'm definitely going to get through it probably within the next couple weeks before the movie comes out. So it just made it sound. They're just making it sound like you have to read this book.
Yeah, that's
if you want to know what's going on with these characters.
Never heard of
Which, to be honest,
so
I do like.
publicized.
I mean, because we've been talking about how these stories, some of them are so just broad and vague, so broad that you're just like, you don't really need to know.
Yeah, this seems like it'll be different.
But maybe you need to know this one, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm actually reading. I'm going to try to read it. I feel like this is such a important book, as everybody keeps saying, that I want to invest and actually read through it. Cody Geiler, who's actually been on the show,
yes,
he's reading through it too. Maybe I might even have him on once we all finish it, so we have someone else to kind of talk about it. But I am only about 20 pages. I think I'm only through the first chapter. I've had little time, unfortunately, been busy, but I will be able to finish it before Rogue One. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But definitely be able to finish it. Real quick, because I caught this when I was reading through, just flipping through the acknowledgments here. Just thought it was kind of cool. It says this book is written in partnership with Leland Chee, Pablo Hidalgo, Matt Martin, and Rain Roberts of the Lucasfilm Story Group, with special thanks to Gareth Edwards and the screenwriters and producers of Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. So I like that it actually went out of its way to acknowledge the story group and those guys in particular. So James Luceno wrote this, and he's a fantastic author. I only know his Star Wars work, but he's pretty much the go-to guy in Star Wars books.
Right now, I think
he's written so many amazing quintessential Star Wars books. But working, he actually references written in partnership with the story group, and that's how it's going to be great. Cody's about 80 pages or so into it, and he's already said that this and Shattered Empire are like his favorite written Star Wars stories, outside the movies and TV shows. So it's like his favorite Star Wars stuff. I'm sure I will very much like it as well. But yeah, it starts off so far neck deep in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. Just to give you, just in case you didn't know James Luceno's Star Wars work, in case you read some of his EU or Legend stuff now, he did the First Jedi Order, Agents of Chaos #1, Hero's Trial.
New Jedi Order?
New Jedi Order, Agent of Chaos #2.
Yep.
He did Darth Maul, Saboteur. He did Cloak of Deception. He did the New Jedi Order, the Unifying Force. He did Inside the Worlds of Star Wars Trilogy. He did Labyrinth of Evil, which was the prequel to Episode 3.
Great book.
Yeah, he did Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, which was the
that was basically right after Episode 3.
The sequel to Episode 3, basically, yeah. He did Millennium Falcon, which I don't know much about that one. And then, of course, he did Plagueis, which we talked about, Darth Plagueis. He did Endgame. And then, of course, on the canon side, he has done now Tarkin and Catalyst. So, and Tarkin was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that right there, like, the New Jedi Order books, those two Agents of Chaos books, those are Han Solo stories. Those are great.
Oh, really?
Those are great books. Because it's right after Chewie's death, so it's Han Solo just, like, coping with it. Is
that the Vong?
Yeah.
During the Vong War?
Because the Unifying Force, I think that might be the last book in the series. I hope I'm not mistaken, but I think that's the last book. And Labyrinth of Evil was a phenomenal story. I thought it was pretty good. There was like a Dark Lord trilogy. That was kind of, I think, what it was kind of called was Labyrinth of Evil, Episode 3, Novelization, which was Matt Stover.
Yes.
And Dark Lord,
and
Rise of Darth Vader, which I have, which is one of the books that I'm not going to read now, unfortunately, but I do have it. But these are, he's awesome. Oh, Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Look at that. He wrote some Indiana Jones books too.
Nice.
Good man. Hope he's at Celebration.
So anyway, yeah, no kidding. So we're gonna get through that, and we're gonna obviously give you a full review of that before Rogue One. We'll do our best not to probably not do a spoiler.
Yeah, that should be wise.
I think we should hit on some points if we can about why it's important, and kind of maybe some things that could set up the movie for you. But I definitely don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So we'll keep our reviews to a minimum on that, and we'll do a full review with spoilers after the movie comes out. Of course, after we do our Rogue One spoiler as well. And then of course, I guess definitely in about 3 weeks we'll do our full Rogue One prediction of what we expect from the movie and who we're going to see and all that stuff. So.
We'll have to live stream that episode.
Probably. Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Maybe get some feedback.
Yes. Okay, what else? Is that it?
I think that's about it.
I think that's all the stuff that's come out so far. And we will move on to some canon material.
Excuse me. While I yawn. So, today from the DK book, Ultimate Star Wars, we'll talk about some vehicles. So this vehicle is the Neomodian shuttle. Neomodian, like Cato Nemodia. It's a Neomodian shuttle. Cato Nemodia is the species of Viceroy, Newt Gunray. Neomodian shuttle. Appearances, episodes 1, 2, it's in the Clone Wars, and it's in episode 3. I believe you see this in episode 3 on Utapau. I think this is actually the shuttle from Rebels 2. Rebels as well, in this current season, the shuttle that they basically the new Phantom shuttle, essentially, that they find on that one planet in the last battle episode. I think this is that same shuttle. It looks very similar. Its manufacturer is Hayor Chal Engineering. Model is Sheathipede class transport shuttle, and the type is a transport shuttle. So it's a Sheathipede class, which don't know what that means. It's but it is strictly used for short range transit, either across planetary surface or ferrying passengers into orbital space, where a larger ship will kind of take over, dock it, and take whatever it's carrying. It has a curved insect-like landing gear, which lowers from the belly. It has like a pincer kind of like appearance as it touches down. It says here, Neomodian officials prefer models with automatic pilots because the absence of a cockpit, no cockpit, allows for an expansive passenger cabin. So this is strictly a transport. It's just a transport shuttle, as I've already said, the type transport shuttle. Doesn't have any weapons, which makes sense, I guess. So, because I think the shuttle from Rebels has hyperdrive, so I wonder if this is actually the same or not. Looks very similar, though. And the picture they have in their book, it looks like it's on Utapau, I think. So this might have been a shuttle seen on Utapau in episode 3. But we saw it in episode 1, so I'll have to think where we saw it. I guess on the Trade Federation ship, possibly, with Newt Gunray. So episodes 1, 2, Clone Wars, and episode 3 is the Neomodian shuttle. Back to you.
Okay, in the spirit of A New Dawn, I looked up absolutely everything you need to know. Maybe briefly, a couple things you might not have known. So Kanan, there's a question, Q&A right here. What is Form 3? When the Inquisitor confronts Kanan on the planet Stygian Prime, he notes that Kanan favors Form 3 to a ridiculous degree. Form 3, also known as Sorasu, or the Way of the Minok, is one of 7 styles of lightsaber combat. Now, last thing is who trained whom? Obviously, most people know now that Deepa Balaba, which Bilaba is Balaba is how it's pronounced in there. Balaba. Deepa Balaba. So, who trained Deepa Balaba?
Like, is Yoda not the obvious answer? It's
No.
not Yoda.
It was a different master. Because it says Kanan's Jedi line boasts one of the greatest Jedi
Mace
masters,
Windu?
Mace Windu,
There you go.
trained Depa Balaba,
Cool.
who trained Kanan Jarrus, who trained Ezra Bridger. So there you go.
The forms.
Oh,
that's-
wait a
that's
minute. Here we
pretty
go.
cool.
So this is actually Kanan, when the Jedi Order is destroyed, is 14 years old.
Wow. Okay. That does put things in perspective.
Order 66, he is 14 years old. So that means
He's 28.
he's roughly 28, 29 when
Rebel starts.
Rebel starts, right? There
right
you go.
then.
All right, there you go. Got some ages going on here.
Like it.
Last thing I want to just touch on real quick. Hopefully you stuck with us because usually there might be some people that drop out. I did want to mention at the end of that audiobook for a new Dawn, it's the foreword in the book, but at the end they read the foreword that was written by Dave Filoni, and I remember I actually read it when I first got this book, and I remember, but I didn't remember it until listening to it again. But I just wanted to point out one thing on there that he does a great. I suggest anybody who does have the book to make sure they read it, because he does talk about how, he felt like he won the lottery when he was able to sit next to George and help develop the Clone Wars, and they joked around. He said George used to joke to him and the crew about teaching them the ways of the Force, so that one day when he retired, Star Wars could keep on going without him. Well, obviously it has, and we're about 2 years now we're about 3 years now, right? Or 4 years? Is it 4 years? It was 2012, wasn't it?
It's 4 years since.
Wow,
the
so it's
buyout.
4 years since the buyout. So it's safe to say, there was a lot of concern, from a lot of fans that the Star Wars universe is in great hands. It's going in an unbelievable direction. There's so much. Look at 4 years. There's so many stories. There's so many movies. There's TV, whatever. But I just wanted to mention, that for everybody that's out there, like he does say that. He says, he basically says, now that George is gone, how do we move forward, and how do we make sure we get it right? And he said, very simply, we trust in the Force and we trust in one another. We came together as a group and found the best talent, people who, like you and me, love Star Wars and want to make it great, who want to capture the feeling that it gave us, that inspired us all. More than any time in existence, new Star Wars stories being told every day. So, just reading this, when he talks about talent and working on Star Wars, just made me think, like, any fan that's out there, including Casey and I, and anybody that's listening to this, you're obviously a Star Wars fan. I mean, any fan that's out there, whatever you're doing, you're just. I just wanted to say, I feel like anything you're doing, either if you're doing a podcast like we are, if you're going out and just watching the shows or watching the movies, buying the comments, make no mistake, you are contributing to Star Wars. You may not see your credit on the movie or on the book, but we are contributing because we're talking about it and we're getting people to talk about it and to see it and to live it and to love it. And so
furthering the cause.
So and I feel like Filoni, and that's what he's saying in there. He's saying that it's going to go forward because we're fans running this thing. Everybody that's working for Lucasfilm, they're fans of Star Wars. They're us.
Yeah.
And they're just pushing it forward. So I think I just read that, and when I heard that again, I was like, you know what? Looking back 4 years now, it's like, wow. I mean, we could not, as fans, we could not have asked for this. You know what I mean? Like this is probably what we just dreamed George would have done.
Yeah. But
unfortunately, he didn't have the resources. I mean, Disney's got endless pockets of money.
Yeah.
It's like George was doing it himself.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe, but it just looks so good going forward. Anyway,
It's good. It's a good point.
that's good.
Good.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. We will be back next week as we lead up to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Of course, we'll have another episode of Rebels for sure to talk about with Thrawn. We'll talk maybe a little bit of Catalyst if we get a little deeper into it. I'm going to catch up on some comics this week, all kinds of stuff. So, thanks, guys. For Casey Cooley.
Our cruisers can't repel firepower of that magnitude. Sorry. It's hard to do Akbar out on the spot.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, Death Star quote.
Death Star. It's all about the Death Star right now. It's all about the Death Star. All right, guys, InsideTheForce.com. Go there, subscribe to the network, and hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. And we will be back next week. For Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.